Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, maybe even good evening. By the time you listen to this, welcome to another electrifying episode on the Growth Talk with Glenn, where we dive into the realms of coaching, consulting, and entrepreneurship. Today, I'm thrilled to host an exceptional guest, Alison Wheeler, a 10X fellow business coach, a very good friend of mine as well. Alison isn't just a director and a success coach, she is a guiding force at Alison Wheeler Coaching and Consulting, dedicated to empowering business owners to do their seven-figure CEO hats with confidence. Alison, welcome to the show. How are we doing today?
I'm fantastic. Thank you very much, Glenn. Thank you for having me on your podcast. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
I love it. I'm excited to have you here. I know that the audience is going to be learning a lot from you, lots of insights, lots of knowledge. If you don't mind, Alison, go ahead and introduce yourself. Who are you? What is that you do? And who do you help?
Absolutely. So my name's Alison Wheeler. I'm based here in Australia. So on the opposite side to the world to you, Glenn, and I'm in the future, right? Yeah. It's because we're on totally different time zones, which for a lot of people is a little bit freaky. So quite a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun with that. So look, my background, I'm actually an occupational therapist by profession. That's one of my qualifications. And then I also have a diploma in fitness as well. So that's my education side. And then I worked in that industry for quite a long time. I worked within a lot of large organizations and businesses, helping them stop hurting their people, really, and a lot of health and wellness programs, things like that. So got to see a lot of things in the background, started to develop coaching programs from that, working for myself. I had another person working for me as well in that industry. And then I had my daughter, and that was very much planned, literally down to the days, because I was training to go to the Commonwealth Games at the time in my chosen sport. And I knew I wanted to keep training, but I couldn't shake this idea of becoming a parent. So I worked it all out. I could still do that. So 1 week later, I was back in the gym training, because that was the schedule. And, but when I went back, it was like, oh, okay, that's not really where I want to be heading. All my priorities changed. So, all right, what am I doing now? So I had, from a career standpoint, like everything kind of shifted. I kept training because trying to find this new thing. What am I going to do? My husband had started a network marketing company at the time, thinking he wanted to because he's an electrician, thinking he wanted to get off the tools, be there. And then I ended up taking that over, building that up to 7 figures. I became the top distributor in the world in that company. COVID hit, and that changed my priorities again to really relook at everything, step back and go, all right, what now? I'd really sort of tapped that opportunity out. I'd grown it as far as it could go, and I'd grown as far as I could go with it. And, you know, I'm sure you understand, Glenn, you can't sit still. You've got to keep growing. Yeah. It's either grow or you're retreating. There's pretty much no other option. Yeah. So I needed to find something else, or my new iteration again. And that's when I thought, well, I've been coaching this whole time through the network marketing company. I was doing that prior. I'm going to go back to do that. So I started to build that out. And I'd found 10X during sort of the COVID times. I found that was when I really connected with growing and the 10X brand. So when through that transition of leaving that company, decided to become part of 10X as a coach, and then obviously I've gone on to get certified. So I've been doing business coaching and consulting now for many years, but obviously and then become a 10X certified business coach, and a 10X elite coach as well. So that's kind of been the pathway in terms of who I help. I love helping service-based businesses, small businesses, service-based businesses who have help in their heart, but they're hungry to expand. They're they're stuck. They're not necessarily, how do I get to the next level? Really good at what they do, but not necessarily great at business. I don't have all the business acumen, right? Missing those pieces of how do I scale from here? How do I grow from here? How do I increase my income from here? And often, the business owners that I tend to work with, they're right on that borderline of burnout or fatigue, or, where they're starting to question, should I still keep doing this? Can I keep doing this? What do I do next? Well, rather than throw the baby out with the bathwater, let's actually get the support and the help in, right? So people can navigate through that, because often through that time where they kind of really start questioning, going, maybe it's time to jump out, right? Maybe I can't do this. All that questioning starts to come in. So that tends to be where my sweet spot of helping people is, and really helping them get through that and scale their business and grow their business. So they get there, they have a life, right? As well as a successful business, right? 10x life. They all areas are going well, not just one.
I love that, Alison. Thank you for sharing, because it's not easy to help someone that is about to quit, right? And give up and just come in and literally reignite everything in their life, personally, professionally, financially. I also love the fact that you said that you are coming from the future. I love that. I really do. I love that, because it's true. I never really saw it like that. Alison, if you don't mind, can you share with us your journey in the business development when it began, right? And how that led you to become a 10X business coach?
Yeah, so how I began into business coaching?
Like how, if you don't mind sharing, like, your journey in business development, when that began, like when you started doing business development, and how that aspect of the equation led you to become a 10X business coach.
Yeah, so that would have been probably about 13, 14 years ago.
Wow.
So really within that kind of, when I got into that network marketing space and working so much on business development, right? Like, you've got to go from zero to hero. You need to make this thing work. Yeah. So working with a lot of people on, okay, what's your brand? How are you marketing? What does your website look like? No, that's terrible. You need to change it so actually people know how to contact you or want to respond to you, or okay, this is how are you writing a ad? What's your story? Stories sell, right? Like, stories and content sell. How are you positioning yourself? So really going in, or, okay, where's your mindset? What are what are you telling yourself? What's the intentionality of your actions? It's just so many parts to that. Do you even sales? Do you ask for the sale? Like, so many people don't ask for the sale. Sounds really crazy to me. However, a lot of people don't do that. So helping people to see the gaps of what, and I think the other side too is really helping people see themselves as a business owner, not a technician. Helping people develop themselves first and foremost to be a business owner, wear a business owner hat, not an employee hat, wear an entrepreneur hat, not an employee hat. That's a big transition, right? Yes. With that comes a lot of ownership of all of the roles that are required to successfully run a business, to see yourself in a different way. You need to sell yourself as a marketer. You need to see yourself as a salesperson, which then means you need those knowledge gaps plugged. Or you need someone to come in, like I also go into businesses and work with their leadership teams, because if they don't know how to, they need to develop themselves too. They need to have that. The culture needs to be clear of the organization. So if you're past a one-man band, what culture are you building? Right, which also starts with you, but if you want staff, then that culture is super important. So that's kind of, I guess, that transition has occurred in that way, or that business development's occurred in that way. So just helping person after person after person after person after person develop their business from zero through to, I've had people earning over 100,000 in a month, right? That's a journey. It takes time, but there's logical steps. It doesn't have to be this emotional roller coaster that most people are on.
Yeah.
Although that doesn't mean there's not an emotional roller coaster, because if you're pushing the boundaries, there's still going to be, but you're choosing that. So you're choosing to put yourself into a situation where you're on an emotional roller coaster, right? Because you're putting yourself into new and challenging situations or creating new problems. That's different than being on the emotional roller coaster of business because you don't know what you're doing or you're not sure. And often people around identity as well, Glenn, I think, you and I both know a lot of people reject the idea that they're in sales. They don't want to see themselves as a salesperson because they've all got this context, but they've sold themselves on that idea. So they're a very good salesperson. And the sooner people can accept that they have to sell something in order to exchange value with someone else, even if that's an idea, it doesn't always have to be dollars that are exchanged. I'm selling my idea to my daughter all the time. I'm selling my ideas to my husband. Half the time I think I'm selling my ideas to my dog, not that she listens. But you know what I mean? Like, you're constantly selling it, so that when you can accept that you're a salesperson, you also then look for the right knowledge as well, and the right help. So that, I guess that's sort of how I've grown into business development, one from having to develop my own businesses, but then helping a whole lot of people, hundreds and hundreds of people having to do the same thing. And then in terms of 10X really became a bigger part of my life through the pandemic, because I was like, I feel it was probably the timing of the pandemic. I think in my previous business, I was starting to cap it out, and I couldn't work out how to get past that ceiling. And I'm like, what am I missing? But it started to really affect me spiritually, me as a person, me as my self-confidence, me and my self-worth, my belief, because up until that point in time, I'd been able to grow it just fine. And I'm like, well, why is it not growing further? But sometimes what 10X allowed me to realize is tether yourself to the goal, not the vehicle. Sometimes the vehicle isn't the right vehicle. Sometimes the vehicle is broken and you have to iterate on the vehicle, you have to pivot, or you have to completely change it. But when your identity is tied into the vehicle, the thing that you've built, which often it can be, right? When your identity is tied into that, you don't want to let it go. You're too emotional to see it. So it took me 10X helped me reestablish myself and kind of, I guess, extract my identity out of the vehicle, retie it back to, because I'd lost sight of the goal by that point because I was just pushing and pushing and pushing. Retie myself to the goal and go, hold on a sec, is this the pathway anymore? And then probably took about 12 months to kind of figure that all out and extract out of that and go down and, kind of all of that. But, I would listen to mainly Audible initially. I'd listen to Grant, and when I'd often go to the gym, and then that's when I'm always listening to audiobooks when I go and train, right? I've been an athlete my whole life. So when I go and train, I'll listen to audiobooks. I've never listened, or a podcast or whatever. I don't listen to music. But I'd often listen to Grant, and I'd come back home after I'd trained. My husband would be like, you've been listening to Grant, haven't you? I'm like, well, what? Why? And he said, because you come back different.
Wow.
You come back different. And I'm like, oh, and I knew it, right? And it wasn't always, Glenn, necessarily the words he was saying, although obviously that was a factor in terms of the actual quality of the information. It was his tonality, and it was his intentionality behind his delivery. It would hit home on a level and I listen to a hell of a lot of books and a lot of podcasts. my husband has never said that about anyone else I've listened to. Like he could feel the palpable difference because I'd come home and I would be the person who I knew I was. And that's when I'm like, all right, this 10X thing's got something. This 10X thing's got some legs. Let me actually look into this more from the perspective of how can I be more involved. And I guess because I never really been this side of the world, right? I hadn't looked at that seriously until I heard that repeatedly. And obviously going through this transition of what next, I need to change back to focus on the goal. What's the new vehicle? Where am I heading with this? And because I felt like really Grant had helped me through such a tough time, it just made sense. And I'm like, well, I am not the only business owner in the world being challenged. And if 10X helped me through it, then I know that I can help other people through this that I see are going through these challenges all the time.
All the time.
I can help other people through that with my knowledge, but also powered with 10X principles, with really good quality tools.
Well, it is like the 10X, at least based on what you say, and for me, it's like it has gotten like the best version of myself. And now I got to be literally 10X who I was before. And by the way, the person that I was yesterday, I'm not the same person today because it's like continuously growing and becoming that best version of myself every single day. Alison, you developed the Power Framework to help your clients excel. Could you walk us through this model and perhaps like share the success story when this framework made significant difference?
Yeah, look, for me, the Power Framework is really about basically setting you up to win, right? So it starts with you finding your power again, because often, like I've spoken about, a lot of people, they might be near that burnout stage, or they've got away from their why, or often, how often, I don't know if you find this, Glenn, but I do all the time, ask, what's your goal? And business owner can't answer. Well, they answer, I want to be successful, or I want to make more money, which is not a goal, right? It's an aspiration, but it isn't a goal, because how do you measure that? So it starts off with really the base, which is the power. Set up, around your mindset, your goals, your attitude, your why, setting up correct targets so that you, number one, you got to know where you're heading, and you got to know the steps that you can take to get there and why, because when you're challenged, if you don't know your why, it's easy to get off that path. Mm-hmm. It really starts around the you. Then we move, I was for organizations. That's what's your marketing strategy? How are you going to expand? We move then into wisdom, which has to be about you and your team, delegating, and communication. Because often, again, I find as an organization grows, that person's leadership needs to evolve, right? Because now it's not just you managing you are now managing and leading other people. That's different. And communication is a big part of that. And we're through with a client just this week and we role played out communication, because she was having trouble. I feel overwhelmed. My team just don't seem to be doing what I need them to do in the time frame. So I go, how are you asking them? Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, would you do me a favor of this, with no time frame? It's like, well, why are you asking them to do you a favor when it's their job?
Yeah. Wow. The power behind
right? Power behind the questions, power behind your communication. And then, no time frame. So, well, how do they know when you need it done by? You're getting frustrated that they're not doing it when you need it done by, but you're not telling them. It's a bit like if I ask my husband to put the rubbish out, right? I expect him to put the rubbish out right then, because that's when I need it put out. But if I don't communicate that, then that's my fault, right? Because often then, right, then this happens in relationships all the time. It's the same in business. Husband doesn't put the rubbish out. Wife gets annoyed, right? But the wife never gave a time frame for the husband to then go, is that even realistic in my world right now whilst I'm doing all these other things? Or give the husband the opportunity to come back and say, no, I can't put the rubbish out right now, but I can put it out by 5 o'clock. Okay, cool, great. Or no, that's not okay. I'll put it out myself, right? Like simple things, but this happens with staff and with team, but with yourself as well. What time frames are you putting on you?
Yeah.
So getting really clear on that. And I know that I'm talking about husbands and wives, but my goodness, that happens so much within relationships.
Makes sense.
It makes sense, right? But it happens within workplaces as well. So that's the wisdom part. And then we have effectiveness. So that's your sales. So how are you effective in sales at the moment? Are you looking also at your effectiveness and your efficiencies? So where can we make your business go better? Where can we make your time go better? Where are you wasting time? So there's, time auditing, those sorts of things. How can we tighten that up so that you're getting maximum out of your time in order to be able to get some time back? Because often I work with business owners who feel like they're working 24/7, right? But if we put that on paper and we look at, do you need to be doing all of these things? What do you need to stop doing? What do you need to start doing? And how can we actually make you a sales machine as well as your staff sales trained in sales machines, right? In the best possible way. When I say that, I don't mean robots. And then review, R is review. We go next level, looking at your gratitudes for how far you've got, developing your strategy, making sure you're documenting things as well. Like go back and review, because often when we've grown, we haven't necessarily written standard operating procedures along the way, and then we can have maximum growth. Another client that is literally they've grown exponentially, right? Very fast, but they have no standard operating procedures. Everything's pretty manual. So we're going back through and let's come through and let's standardize this. Let's document everything. Let's try and systemize as much as possible so that you can get time back. So basically that's the process that I walk people through. It takes time for people to go through that. We can go through that as fast or as slow as someone wants to move.
Yeah.
Real. At the end of the day, right? Driven by the business owner. But through that framework, I've helped one of my clients. They're a multi-six-figure business. We've put another 10% revenue on, which in their industry is massive because it's tough industry. It's just small. We're talking about small. Ability to change is things like that is quite small. Giving my clients their time back with their family, through all of this, or being able to, another one of my clients, through working with her team and improving the sales with her team, she's actually for the first time in a very long time able to take a day off.
Wow.
With her family, right? And her husband is very, very grateful for that.
Wow.
Because he was feeling really neglected. It was affecting their relationship. Do you know, like that it's ever expanding. It's so much more beyond just a business and the business owner. To me, if you help the business owner, you help their family, and therefore you help the community.
I love it. So not only you help them through your power framework to put like systems, processes, strategies, execute, put people in place with the intention of giving time back, so they can enjoy not only the income that is coming and the revenue, but also the time to have the time to spend it with the family.
Exactly. Time is the one asset that you will never get back. You can generate more money, but time you can't get back. And the people that you love want you around. And most people want to be around the people that they love. But if you are like drowning in your business, how are you going to do that? Because even if you come home, you're generally not the person that you probably want to be turning up around your family. And they not necessarily want to be around you either, right? When you're in that, because you're never disconnected from your business. You're not turning up as your best version. You might be trying to turn up as your best version of yourself and your business, right? Because you feel like you need to do that. But it's not a real best version. It's a faked best version. So when we turn up as an authentic best version and then complete that process and then turn up as a best version of yourself with your family
Mm.
and have time. Have time for that. Quality time. It doesn't always have to be loads of time, but quality time because you're there. You're actually able to be there.
Present without any worries.
100%.
If you can go back in time and offer a piece of advice to the younger version of yourself, and you're just starting out, what would that be?
It would have been, don't think so small, so think bigger, but align with the right people. Learn about who to trust, know the red flags of people.
Mm.
The green, red light and green light, know who to be able to be, and then align with the right people as early as possible. Surround yourself with the right people and big thinkers, because that your environment, I think, and the people you surround yourself with makes a huge difference to your outcomes and where you end up in the pathway that you travel.
Mm. I love that. Alison, as a successful woman in a competitive field, how do you harness your personal experience to empower other women in business?
Yeah, look, I think it is, not being a man, I don't really know what it's like for a man, but I do think it's different for women, right? So, can't speak from the context of what it's like for a man, but I've worked with several of them too. So, I think as a woman, we have a few things going on. We have hormones, and we have a lot of them, and they're changing all of the time, right? And through certain periods of one's life, well, you asked me, so I'm going to go there, right? Yeah. So through certain periods of one's life, there is fundamental hormonal changes, and you aren't going to stop that train. But there's physiology that changes when our hormones changes at certain times, and we can become, as a woman, you become very clouded as to what is actually real versus what is hormone related, right? Like it can really cloud your pathways and judgment. And I think through those certain iterations, like perimenopause and menopause in particular, and then after menopause, that is often women can really struggle through those times. One, it's not talked about enough, but two, people can become a little bit hormone crazy or they don't know who they are anymore. So then again, it's like, well, we can help that. We can guide you through what you're experiencing is not abnormal. You're not abnormal. You might be now in a questioning phase because you're in a new iteration of your life. Also, your body's doing different things. People can really lose trust in themselves, Glenn, through that period of time as a woman. So building trust back in themselves because their body's doing different things, right? It's like my body's doing all this weird stuff and I don't want it to be doing that and I can't stop it. You can support it through, supplements and all sorts of things, eating well. There's lots and certain exercise, right, to that holistic viewpoint. But often in how that reflects in their business is they're like, I'm just not coping anymore, or I can't think straight, or, so, and then you've got that juggle where now I think women are expected to be everything. So successful in their business, successful in their home, whilst they still juggle their home and their business. Generally, they're trying to do both full time, and both are full time jobs. They are. Like neither of those are not a full time job, and I think from the aspect of a woman, women are really crappy at asking for help and delegating, really bad. And so it's like you don't have to do it all. If I can speak to one message, you don't have to do it all on your own. Asking for help is actually sane. It's normal. It's a good thing. It highlights vulnerabilities, But women don't have to be men to be successful.
Mm.
Women can be women to be successful, right? And there is a different power in that because women communicate differently in general. Women delegate differently in general, and women juggle differently in general, right? So I think harnessing the power of being a woman in business, but also helping support women to delegate way more, to ask for help for way more. You don't have to be, rolling around on the floor in pain before you ask for help, right? Like I've done that. I've been out at the clothesline at 10 o'clock at night, hanging out washing whilst I was building my other business because I couldn't ask for help. I'm like,
Mm.
no, I've got to do it all. I've got to be successful everywhere. It's like my husband's like, what are you doing? Go and get sleep. I'm like, but the washing has to go out. He's like, we can get someone else to do that, or we have a dryer. Like, right? Like there are other things you can do. So, I hopefully that's answered your question, but I think really supporting women in a very holistic way to run their businesses holistically, because naturally that's what most women will do. They'll take a more holistic approach. So you've got to support you in order to then support other people,
Mm.
in order to then and delegate, right? Delegate. And if people can't afford to bring in, like, to pay for additional support and help, there's so much that can be done for free. And also, if you have a family, change the expectation of how your family works. Delegate to them, right? Like my daughter, I started teaching her how to cook from very young.
That's awesome. I did too.
Right? Like if your kids, they need to be productive in your household and contribute. Like it's essential your children are contributing to the household. So be clear on what you can delegate to them. Yeah, are they going to do it perfectly the way you want it? Probably not. But done is better than perfect, right? Done, it's a job that you don't have to do. And it's the same, like we have a family meeting every week
Mhm.
because I want that my family unit needs to run well in order for me to run well. So I prioritize that in order to make sure my family's effective and efficient and organized and everyone's on the same page and we're heading towards the same goals and we're heading off any issues at the forefront, right? We're very open. Also, we talk as a family, we talk about our finances. I want my daughter to, yes, okay, it's at the level she can understand. But you know, uh, also, I think too, because I do know that if a woman's family, and it is very similar for men, but we're talking about women. If a woman's family isn't going well, they're generally not going well, right?
Mm.
So helping a woman to have their family to communicate, to be willing to be a leader in their own family as well, like
Mhm.
to actually own the leadership hat that they
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
Right? Because so often in society, it's like, well, yeah, but that is so undervalued, running your household. Then that leadership hat is not, that CEO hat of the house isn't being worn, and it's okay to wear that hat. It's okay to be a leader in your house. It doesn't have to be your husband being the leader of the household. It can be if that's how you have the dynamic set up, but someone has to wear that, or nothing gets led.
Mm. Alison,
So
what,
helping women be leadership in all areas of their life.
yeah, it's true because like it start with like from within. So you mentioned like if their families if their household, if something is not going right, most likely outside of the house, whether they're entrepreneurs, employees, or business owners, it's not gonna go right anyway because it's not starting from within.
Exactly.
I love
100%.
I love that. So what does the term 10x means to you?
Yeah, look, it's power. It's exponential power, using that, like it's harnessing a power that is palpable, that everybody has, right? It's tapping into that. But it's then been very intentional with your actions,
Mm.
using that power, using your energy, creating energy and using your energy towards the things that are important to you across all areas of your life. So it's that exponential, powerful, intentional growth across all areas of your life. You knowing what you're doing, you knowing what you're building, and you intentionally building a life that you love that can exponentially grow and then help others.
I love that. Alison, since we're coming near to the end of this episode, if someone wants to get in contact with you or book a strategy call or learn how can you help them? And by the way, do you work worldwide? Because I know that
I do.
Now
100%.
you have the technology, even though that you are in Australia from the future, you can still help people in the United States as well, right?
Absolutely. I have clients all over the world.
I love that. So how can someone that is interested in meeting with you, learning more from you, how can they get in contact?
They can jump on my website, which is thealisonwheeler.com, or they can jump on my social handles and DM me, which is at the Alison Wheeler Coaching. So either place you will find me. On my website, I have a quiz. They can take that. On my website, I also have the ability to book straight in for a strategy call, which people I'm more than happy to talk to anyone who resonates. They can book in to do a free strategy call. I'd love to help people.
I love that. Well, Alison, thank you for your time, knowledge, expertise, insights. And as you know, Alison, we always over-delivering for our customers, prospect, audience. Would it be okay if we close with a quote?
Absolutely. As we always do in 10X, I would love it.
Let's do it. So from page 9 to 85, you pick a number.
79.
79, let's see. Ooh, you can't make diamonds without pressure. I
love that.
Make diamonds without pressure, which means pressure is okay because diamonds are made out of pressure. And you and me know, Alison, that we are continuously putting ourselves under pressure. Very uncomfortable places. Why? Because that's where the growth happens.
Absolutely. 100%. Yes, it is not a comfortable journey, right?
It's not.
But you know, I also think, though, living a life that you don't really love and isn't growing, that's also uncomfortable. So choose your discomfort, but I'd rather be a diamond. Thank you very much. I like diamonds.
I love diamonds. Who doesn't?
That's right. Exactly.
Alison, thank you again for your time, knowledge, expertise. Wishing you the best of success, health, and wealth. And let's go out there and keep helping others becoming the best version of themselves, personally, professionally, and financially. Thank you, Alison.
Thanks so much, Glenn.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.